Good day everyone, I am Jamaica Roscasipe and I will be telling the story about The Great Gatsby by Francis Scott Fitzgerald. Nick moves to the fictional village of West Egg on Long Island in the spring of 1922, where he finds himself living amid the newly wealthy's huge mansions. Daisy and her brutish immensely wealthy husband, Tom Buchanan, live across the water in the more refined village of East Egg. Nick visits them for dinner early in the summer, where he meets Jordan Baker, Daisy's friend and a well-known golf winner, who informs him that Tom has a mistress in New York City. Daisy admits to Nick in a private conversation that he has been unhappy. When he returns to his West Egg home, he notices his next-door neighbor Jay Gatsby standing alone in the dark and reaching his arms out to a green light shining across the bay at the end of Tom and Daisy's dock. Early in July, Tom introduces Nick to his lover, Myrtle Wilson, who lives with her spiritless husband George Wilson in a valley of ashes, an industrial wasteland ruled by the bespectacled eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, who peered down from an advertising billboard. The three of them meet her at George's garage, where he works as a mechanic, and travel to Tom and Myrtle's apartment in Manhattan. Nick grows adapted to the sounds and lights of dazzling parties thrown at his next-door neighbor's mansion, where the famous and newly wealthy gather on Saturday night to enjoy Gatsby well-stocked bar and full jazz orchestra. When Nick is personally invited to one of these parties by Gatsby, he runs across Jordan, with whom he spends the majority of the night. The apparent absence of the host, as well as the feeling that all of his guests had dark theories about Gatsby's background, strike him. Later that evening, Nick finally meets him in a pretty quiet encounter when the man sitting beside him reveals himself as Gatsby. Gatsby vanishes and subsequently requests a private meeting with Jordan. Jordan returns amazed by what he has told her, but she is unable to tell Nick what it is. As the summer progresses, Nick develops feelings for Jordan Baker and gains a deeper understanding of Gatsby. When they're driving into Manhattan for lunch one afternoon in late July, Gatsby tries to debunk the rumors about him by telling Nick that he is the son of very wealthy people who are all dead, and that he is an Oxford man and a war hero. Nick is dubious about it. Jordan Baker tells Nick later at tea about something shocking Gatsby had told her in confidence during his party. Daisy, Nick's cousin, had known Gatsby for over 5 years in Louisville, and the two had been in love. But he went off to fight in the war, and she married Tom Buchanan. Gatsby purchased his property on West Egg in order to be across the water from her. Nick offers to invite Daisy to his place so that Gatsby can meet her at Gatsby's request. Daisy is surprised to see Gatsby after nearly 5 years when he invites them both over for a tea few days later. The encounter is awkward at first, so Nick goes outside for a half hour to give the two of them some privacy. When he returns, they appear to have made up, Gatsby beaming with joy and Daisy in tears. After that, they go next door to Gatsby's massive mansion, where Gatsby shows Daisy through his spectacular chambers. As time passes, Tom becomes more conscious of Daisy's connection to Gatsby. He turns up with his wife to one of Gatsby's parties, disliking West Egg. Tom believes Gatsby is a bootlegger, and he expresses his suspicions. After the party, Gatsby expresses his displeasure to Nick, explaining that he wants Daisy to tell Tom she never loved him and then marry him as if the years had never happened. After that, Gatsby's crazy parties stop and Daisy spends her afternoons at Gatsby's house. Nick arrives for lunch at the Buchanan's house on a scorching hot day near the end of the summer. Gatsby and Jordan have also been invited. Daisy pays Gatsby a compliment in the dining room that expresses her love for him, and when Tom notices this, he insists that they drive into town. Tom drives Daisy and Gatsby in Tom's blue coupe, while Gatsby drives Jordan and Nick in Gatsby's garish yellow car. Tom stops for patrol in the Valley of Ashes at George Wilson's garage, and Wilson informs Tom that he and Myrtle are intending to go west as soon as they can raise the funds. This revelation disturbs Tom to his core, and he rushes to Manhattan to catch up with Daisy and Gatsby. The entire party winds up, overheated and irritable in a parlor at the Plaza Hotel. Tom confronts Gatsby about his relationship with Daisy just before they are ready to sip mint juleps to chill up. Daisy attempts to soothe them, but Gatsby claims that Daisy and he have always been in love and that she has never loved Tom. As the fight intensifies and Daisy threatens to leave her husband, Tom exposes what he discovered during an inquiry into Gatsby's affair: that he made his money by selling illicit alcohol in Chicago drugstore with Wolfsheim after prohibition laws were enacted. Gatsby tries to deny it, but Daisy has given up, and his cause appears hopeless. Daisy drives Gatsby's automobile as Gatsby and Daisy live together. They hit and killed Myrtle on the road. Wood raced into the street following a heated dispute with her husband, mistaking Gatsby's passing automobile for Tom's. Daisy drives on, terrified, but the automobile is observed by onlookers. When Tom comes up behind them and notices a ruckus on the road, he pulls over. When he discovers his mistress' body on a table in Wilson's garage, he is surprised and saddened. Wilson accuses him of hitting her with a yellow car, but Tom claims it was not his and tearfully drives to East Egg. Back at the Buchanan's house in East Egg, Nick discovers Gatsby hiding in the garden and learns that Daisy was the one behind the wheel. Though Gatsby insists on claiming responsibility if his car is discovered, he says he'll stand outside Daisy's house if Tom assaults her. Nick goes over to Gatsby's place the next morning, where he has returned devastated. Nick tells him to leave since he is concerned that his car may be tracked. He refuses, and that night he tells Nick the truth about his past. He came from a poor farming family, and while fighting in the army, he met Daisy in Louisville, but he was too poor to marry her at the time. Only after the war did he accumulate his enormous fortune. Nick reluctantly departs for work. As Gatsby waits for a call from Daisy, George Wilson comes in East Egg in that afternoon, and Tom informs him that his wife was murdered by Gatsby. Wilson arrives at Gatsby's mansion and discovers him in his pool. Wilson kills both Gatsby and himself. The Buchanans then leave Long Island. They do not provide a forwarding address. Nick plans Gatsby's funeral, despite the fact that only 2 people come, including Gatsby's father. Nick returns to the Midwest after becoming dissatisfied with life in the East.